Headshot. Sit down. Stand up. Pass out. Wake up. Fade it.
Alright, what is up? Today we are going to do an awesome drone tutorial. I'm going to tell you 10 ways in which you can make your drone shots more cinematic. Let's get right into it. So for rule number one, steady movements. The key to that is just being very light with the stick here on the remote control. You never want to jerk it or do any of this. Up on Premiere Pro here, I'm going to input a clip that I want to use for the opening clip. I'm going to find one that's like nice and smooth, just a slow riser. It's moving forward, but it's also slowly rising. This clip is perfect. It has a little wobble at the end, but we can kind of cut that out. I'm going to start a little later because the exposure was a little off towards the beginning of the clip. I'm going to cut it so that it looked good. Right now it's moving a little slow, but as you can see, it's perfect. It's nice, slowly rising. There's no camera movement to it, just the dead straight, not much movement to it. I'm going to add the music to it. Right now it's a little slow. I think if I turn it up to about 150, the speed, then it'll be a little more like a pop. This song has like a pop to the beginning, so we want to make sure that it really stands out and it really brings the audience in. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's just not much camera movement, but simple is good, especially in this situation. If I put a lot of camera movement to it, then it wouldn't be as cinematic. Alright, so we're going to open up Premiere Pro here. We are going to grab a clip that we want to use for this. I'm going to use this clip. It's kind of just circling the Capitol building, but the camera and the drone is also rotating. So it's not just like going from left to right. It also has some camera movement to it. And when you have this camera movement kind of circling one object, this is when I love to do the zoom in like keyframes. But so for right now, as you can see, it's a little wobbly and it's zooming like out and to the left. What I want to do is I am going to go to speed duration. I'm going to reverse the speed so that now we're going to be zooming in towards the Capitol building and like focusing on the Capitol building rather than zooming out. So as you can see now, it's rotating closer to the Capitol building. I'm going to render it so that we can play it back because it's going to be super laggy if we don't. So yeah, it's looking pretty good already. I mean, we didn't do anything to it yet, and it's already looking pretty like cinematic. We still got a lot to do though. So first we're gonna go into effects. We are gonna go to effects control, click on the clip. We're gonna go to scale, toggle the keyframe, get it going. So right now it's at 100 at the beginning of the clip. And we're gonna go towards the end of the clip. I'm gonna make sure our cursor is on the very last keyframe, and then we're gonna zoom in a little bit. Instead of 100, we're gonna let's go to 120. Let's try that out. So that way, so now the clip is gonna slowly zoom in over time, linear in a linear progression from the beginning of the clip to the end of the clip. It's gonna go from a scale of 100 to a scale of 120, which is zooming in. And as you can see, as it zooms in, it's kind of focusing on the Capitol building, which I love. If it was just a random, just like zooming in video, it would look kind of stupid, but because we're focusing on an object, it's zooming in on the Capitol building. I just changed it to 130 to make it a little more dramatic. I'm also going to nest it, and I'm going to add warp stabilizer in order to make it a little more smooth, a little more cinematic, because as you can see, there's a little camera shake to it. So we're going to add warp stabilizer. I'm going to speed that up. This warp stabilizer is kind of slept on in drone videos. I think it helps a lot, but a lot of creators don't really use it. I definitely suggest warp stabilizer. Once again, I'm going to render it because, yeah, it's super laggy. All right, so that's pretty much our finished product. That's looking really good. It's focusing right on the Capitol building, super smooth, zooming in, and this is what it looks like color graded. Yeah, I love that shot. That's probably my favorite shot in the whole clip.
Alright, the reason I'm here on top of a parking garage is because I can get much better signal up here than if I were to be down on the street. When you're down on the street, you're gonna have a lot of buildings blocking your vision. One, you won't be able to see the drone, and two, your signal won't be as strong because a bunch of buildings will be blocking the signal that leads to your drone. So I like being on top of a parking garage, anything higher than like the lowest part of the ground, because then you're gonna have much better service and you won't have as many things blocking the signal to your drone. This can ensure that you can go much farther, you can get much cooler shots. I wouldn't have definitely not been able to reach the Capitol if I were standing down below, but since I'm up here, my drone, and since I can still see the drone, my connection to the drone will have much better signal than if I were down on the street. As for the lighting, you can see I have a lot of sunlight coming on me right now. Fun, Phil. Typically, I like to shoot when it's a sunny day. Unless you're going for like a moody vibe, it's always better to be shooting during a sunny day when there's a lot of light around, because then you can do much more with like color grading. If you have a really dark shot, and you can't really do much to it because if you bring up the exposure, then the shot's gonna get pretty noisy and you won't be able to, it won't look as clean as if there was a lot of light out. So shooting in light is very important. Not only for drones but also for cameras like this.
I'm going to open up the video file here. I'm going to show you this clip because you can see the sharp contrast in light. On this side we have a bunch of light illuminating the Capitol building. On the other side it's super dark. So pretty much every shot I had coming close to the Capitol building was of the illuminated side of the Capitol building rather than the dark side.
I didn't mean to shoot during like golden hour when the sun was going down. I was procrastinating a little too long earlier today, but it ended up looking really good and I think the shots turned out pretty well. Shooting in 24 frames per second at 4K is super important. Drone shots, they don't always have the best cameras like a DSLR, so shooting in 4K is really important if you want those crisp and cinematic like images. If you turn it down to 2.7K or 1080p, it can get a little fuzzy at times, especially if there's not good light. I know some drones don't get up to 4K. If you get any new drone other than the Mavic Mini, it'll be 4K and you shouldn't have a problem with that. But shooting in 4K and 24 frames per second is super important. All movies that you see are shot in 24 frames per second, so that's that for you. For a variety of shots, I had a lot that were way above the Capitol building, then I had others that were a little closer to street level. I didn't get really any on street level just because I'm looking at a parking garage and it'd be kind of difficult to fly my drone down by the street if it's much below me, because then one, I won't have good connection because this parking garage is blocking my line of sight to the drone, and two, that's a little more dangerous because you have a lot of cars, a lot of buildings to hit down there. So I didn't get any of the real low shots this time, but having a variety of shots is always very helpful. Another thing you saw is I had a couple of shots of that cross. Those shots are much harder to do than the much like bigger, like wide range cinematic shots of like the Capitol or just Madison as a whole. Flying close to objects is definitely risky, and it has a huge reward if you do it well and you don't crash your drone. I mean, you can see Sam Kolder. We'll play a clip of that now. Yeah, so obviously his shots are insane. He's like flying through trees and like just barely missing every object, but he also has a lot more money to spend on drones than I do if he crashes, so there's that. Alright, another rule is to always try and plan out where you think a good shot would be before you actually take the drone up in the air. The reason I'm pointing at this church with the cross is because before I even fly the drone, I can tell this is going to be an awesome shot if I kind of try and fly through that cross there into the sunset. Sorry, this fence is in the way. It kind of looks cool though. Okay, close. But yeah, you can see the Capitol's over there. It's not too far away, so that's going to be good for getting those shots later because I'll have a direct line of sight, so therefore a better signal. Another reason that you want to plan your shots before you actually take off is because batteries are super expensive, and a battery for my drone and most drones only lasts about 20 minutes max. So you want to maximize the amount of shots you can get within one battery span because most people don't buy a second drone as they are super expensive. Alright, so rule number 9 is do not do any pan shots. Pan shots are awful. I'm going to show you an example of one right now. Alright, yeah, that was super ugly. It's really just going in a circle around. That's what you do if you get a drone for the first time and you want to see what it's like looking around. But you're never going to see a shot like that in any movie sequence or any commercial, any professional product. You're never going to see big pan shots that just go in a circle around a city or anything like that. You always want to move the actual drone rather than just turning the drone like in a 360 motion. Last but certainly not least, rule number 10, always register your drone with the FAA if it's above 250 grams. The reason I say 250 grams is because DJI just put out the new Mavic Mini, which is 249 grams, and they did that on purpose so they could bypass the FAA rule. But if you're flying any real drone other than the Mavic Mini, you got to register with the FAA. I've had a couple times where people have come up to me and they're like, do you have like the right to fly that drone here? Do you have a permit? And if I just tell them that the drone's registered with the FAA, they'll normally leave. And if they say, all right, well, let me see the registration, it's good to have it on you. I never really bring it with me, but normally I could just talk my way out of those situations. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this drone tutorial. It's super cold out here, so I'm gonna head back inside, but I'm hoping I can make more of these tutorials coming soon here with temperatures warming up. Hopefully next will be my MEPA board, which is my electric skateboard. I'm gonna tell you why that is better than a boosted board. It's also about $1,000 cheaper, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you later.
I get hell when I'm rolling. I get lost in the moment.